Hello YouTubes. If you like your kitchen nice and bright like I do, then your options for what you install have changed quite a lot over the last few years with LED lighting. Let me show you what I've currently got and what we're going to install to just change it up a bit. So this house was built with pot lights everywhere, and it did have one of those horrible little tiny booby bulbs in the middle. So we changed that a few years back with one of those IKEA light fittings that look great in the store, but you don't realise when you get them home they're basically just fly traps. Really awkward to clean, maintain, and not that bright with these tiny little spotlight bulbs. So let me show you what we're going to install instead. Bought this on Amazon for about $70 Canadian. It's a 15-inch flush mount LED kitchen light. Three colours, three colour temperatures. So you've got like a yellowy white, a daylight white, and maybe a slightly bluey white. Really just depends on what you're after. So let us see what's in the box. Generally these lights are 3 wires. You've got your hot or your positive, you've got your ground, and you've got a negative. So they're relatively straightforward, but I would say if you've got any concern at all with electrical work, get someone else to do it. Simple as that. If you're confident, you've probably done this before a million times, so it's not rocket surgery. Inside the box then we have much larger light than I was expecting, to be honest. Sometimes they advertise these as a certain size and then you get it home and it's like, oh, that's much smaller. But it looks like they have actually measured the 15 inches across this whole diffuser. As I say, sometimes they measure it overall width, but that looks plenty big enough. There's a hand comparison. And a little bag with your instructions, a couple of wire connectors, a couple of screws. So on the back then we have the 3 wires I was talking about. Now it doesn't come with the new light fitment that's already on the ceiling, so I'm not too bothered about that, but just so you know, you're going to have to use your existing light box or junction box. Presumably then we need to take these screws off, 3 of these. Make sure you throw one on the floor. And then lift this ring off, lift your diffuser off, and that gives you access for tightening up the screws once you screw that on. So obviously we take the old one off, wire up the new one, attach this. It gives you a choice of size for the type of junction box you've got. What else have we got? Down here we've got the little switch to change it from yellowy light to daylight to whatever other light. I think it's kind of harsh blue light. I don't think anyone would use that setting, but we'll see. And if you don't like the colour, it's easy enough just to take the 3 screws off. Remember, throw one on the floor, and then you can change that and put it all back together. So I need to get a set of ladders and get the old one off. Before we proceed, make sure you cut the power, either from a switch or your fuse on your main fuse box, wherever that might be. I've done this light before. I know that when I switch that light off, that is dead. But as I say, if you're unsure, switch the main fuse off down in your fuse box. Or up in your fuse box. I don't know where your fuse box is. Ours is in the basement. Let me show you what other tools you may or may not require. Depending on what lies beneath all that, you will either need a Phillips head screwdriver or a flathead screwdriver. No idea what size yet until we're in there. In Canada we have Robertson screwdrivers, which are square. They're actually very cool, and they never round like a Phillips do, but as I say, that's a Canadian thing. And you may or may not require wire snippers and strippers. These ones are awesome because you just go squeeze and that's it, done. They don't always work. Right, let me get in there. So on this IKEA light fitting, I've got a Phillips screw on this side and the same on the other side, which keeps this whole assembly attached to the the upper plate. Slide that forward. And it drops down. Obviously it's still attached with the wires. And it's really disgustingly dirty. So what have we got here? We've got our little collection of wires. I can unhook that. Oh, that's actually a really good fit, and that is the one good thing about the IKEA stuff. It's pretty clever. So I can put that on the floor, and then I've only got the wires to play with next. So I will be removing this shiny plate, but I need to keep that screw and that screw, and as you can see they are the Robertson type with the square head. So I need to take them both out to get this plate off, disconnect the wires, but put these screws back in to receive my new light fitting. Just to speed things up, I'm going to cheat and use my little miniature electric drill because it's got a Robertson fitting in the top. Don't have to, just saves a bit of time. So as you can see, we now have our two main wires, and the ground is actually connected to this plate, which is then connected to the junction box at the top. So I'm going to have to attach my ground wire to that because we're not using this plate. So while I remember, I am going to put those screws back in because I'm going to need them. Not all the way, obviously, because I'm going to have to put a new fitting on them. Okay, so the new fitting then, the wiring, white to the white and the black to the red. And obviously ground to, there's a little screw up here I can use for the ground on that steel or metal plate there. So it's a little bit awkward because I'm going to have to hold this while I'm wiring this up, but the good thing is with the LED stuff it's pretty light, so you're not putting a huge amount of stress on the wires. That's better. If it doesn't grip it, then it's not connecting it. Right, and now the white one. Now the white one I'm going to have to use the bigger connector because it is doubled up. I guess that wire is leading off to somewhere else. So the small connector that came with the kit is not going to fit that one. Right, that's our hot and cold wires attached. Now just get the green earth or ground. Okay, we are wired. So now hopefully we can just tuck these wires into the junction box and then feed the screws down into this base plate. Where's the other one? There. Like so. Now before I tighten them up, I am going to switch it on, make sure it works, and also see what the colour's like. I'm not going to stare straight at it because I'll get blind. Well, it works. Let's try the different settings while the cover's off. Oh. It's quite a blue light, soft light, softer light. That's quite nice actually. Yeah, that's a bit cold. It's just whether or not that's going to be bright enough. I'm going to leave it in the middle for now. It's easy enough to change it, and it might dim down a bit when we put the cover on, so let me do that next. But now that we know it works, we can tighten up these screws holding the whole thing to the ceiling. Not mega tight. Okay, cover. Of course, remember to retrieve your little nut that fell on the floor. You're going to need it now. This is a wee bit fiddly because I don't have 15-inch wide hands and I need to keep it all up at the same time. Anyway, how does that look from over there? Right, let's switch on, see what the colour looks like now. I think I prefer it brighter than yellower. So even if it is a little bit on the cold side, temperature-wise, colour temperature-wise, I think I'd rather it was brighter. So I'm going to leave it like that for now. It's also really hard to tell because the sun's pouring in the window, so I don't know how bright it is. It's probably way too bright. But hey, not too bad to install. And I think it looks nice. Nice flush fitting. I think that looks like it's worth more than $70. I think that's nice, and it's not going to collect flies and dirt and grime. And it's not monstrously big, and it's not too tiny either. I'm quite happy with that. So, if you fancy one for your own house, link in the description to Amazon, which is where I got it. I did check all the reviews, most of them were positive, so it wasn't just the first one that I found. As you can see, it's relatively easy to fit, except for the final section where you have to get the cover on and then take it off if you want to change the colour. Apart from that, it's fine. Certainly bright enough, and that's during the day. Please subscribe if you've not already. I have a ton of content coming which I'm currently working on. General DIY tips and life in Canada. Probably some dog content as well. Take care everyone. See you in the next one. Bye bye.